Today on Twin Cam, we're off to the NEC for the Classic Car Show, probably my favourite show of the year. And am I in Melvin or Melody? No, of course I'm not. Melvin, of course, is off the road, and Melody has an engine now, but it isn't working yet. I'm not invited to be on the Metro Owners Club stand anyway. Instead, I am helping out some friends. So a lot of you probably recognise this car. This is my friend Connor's Mark 1 MG Metro 1300. This is his dad's Metro Van den Plas, which is very cool. And that's the car I'm going to be taking, a 1990, I think, MG Metro 1300. Before we set off, let's just have a little look around the cars. So, as I've said, this is a Mark 1 MG Metro 1300. A lot of you will recognise this car because it's been in a few videos before. Now, I do hope it's open, because if it's not, it is open good. This is an early one with the black interior, which is ace. So I don't like dark colours on interiors, but the black just works brilliantly here. So it's got black dashboard, black door cards, black seats, etc. And I love the simplicity of the Mark 1 Metro Dash, and those gauges are ace. Red carpets, red seat belts, red everything, and this colour, Cinnabar Red, it's more orange than red. It's just fantastic. And the party piece with this Mark 1 MG, despite the fact that it's very rare anyway, because black interior, is that it has genuine electric windows, Electroglide electric windows, which are controlled by that little box there. So yeah, genuine electric windows in a Metro. You could get loads and loads of ridiculous options for these back in the day. So you could get like cruise control and an electronic trip computer and all this kind of stuff. But this one has the electric windows, which is ace. And also, that shot is just one of the coolest in automotive history. I love these things, they're just brilliant. And then completely the other end of the scale is this Metro Van den Plas. So this is a facelift Metro, that's a Mark 1. This is a Mark 2 Metro. The Mark 2 is just a mild facelift. They made a few other changes as well. But the biggest difference was the interior. But before we get there, of course, this is 5 doors, Van den Plas, so it's top of the range. It has a 1275cc engine, like the MG, and the manual one's got a full-on MG engine. But this is not a manual. This one is an automatic. So it's even more tragic to drive. I love it though. And the Mark II Metro's got a different dash, and this one is spec'd to the moon. So not only do we have like twin adjustable door mirrors, we have a rev counter, we have obviously the wood on the dash, we have a leather steering wheel, we have an automatic gearbox, we have electric windows. This time, I don't think they were standard fit on the VP, but certainly they were like mainstream. Whereas on the Mark 1 Metros, they were very rare. They were a genuine accessory. You had to actively want them to get them, whereas with these, you were kind of sold into it by the dealer. Wood on the doors, proper door cappings, and of course it's got leather as well, which is just fantastic. So yeah, roof clock, that's cool, and also velour on the sun visors. So yeah, this is absolute top of the range. This is the most luxurious Metro you could get in 1988, I think. Oh, and being a top spec model, it gets chrome door handles, and these aren't just painted, they're proper metal door handles, just as they are on the Mark 1 actually. All Mark 1's got metal door handles. And also, of course, duotone paint, which was an expensive option, very expensive option actually. And again, this is all, every single option is ticked on this car. This is as high end as it possibly got for a Metro in, as I say, 88 or so. But the thing about these that a lot of people do know is that, of course, these are steel wheels. You couldn't get alloys on a VP. But the tyres are metric. These are not 12-inch wheels. These are 315mm wheels. So good luck finding the tyres. And then there's my car, which again is another MG Metro 1300, but it's a Mark II MG. And it's a late Mark II MG at that. So all kinds of different stuff with it. It's just spec'd in a totally different way. So, of course, both these have plastic bumpers, because Mark II, that's got metal bumpers. But it's all body colour. I know it's black, so you can't tell the body colour, but if you would have bought a red one of these, for example, all the bumpers would be red. And yeah, it looks ace. But because this is a late one, you'll notice that the Mark 1 has pepper pot alloy wheels. They came as standard. The late Mark IIs have Steelies, which is so strange. You know, they've kind of brought down the tone of their own cars as time went on, which is kind of the opposite of what you should do. But there we go, Steelies again, metric tyres, which are impossible to get now. That bumper's a little bit skew-iff on that corner. Yeah, it's just not tightened. But yeah, it still has the cool slash tip exhaust. I mean, what a great view that is. That's fantastic. And yes, everything is body colour. So body colour grille, body colour bumpers. And this one actually, which the Mark 1 doesn't have, this one has pop-out rear windows, which is ace. And inside, this one, again, because MG here, this also has metal handles, standard non-Van den Plas Austins. Had plastic handles by this stage. But yeah, there's still got all the red accents on it, still got red carpets, still has red seat belts. The seats are not quite as jazzy, but they do have this awesome pinstriping on them. They've got the MG badge. And these always kind of turn, not pink, but they always go very bright with age, but these ones are still very, very red, and the seats are brilliant. There's one thing Austin Rover could absolutely nail, it was seats. They were just so good at them. So yeah, there you go. Here is my ride for the weekend. So I think there's nothing else to do now other than to get on the road. So I'm going to be doing quite a bit of talking on this trip, well, relatively, because this Metro is very different to Melody. First of all, of course, it's an MG, so red seat belts, which are mega cool. And it means I've got a different engine, so it's still 1275cc, but it has a lumpier camshaft, it has a different cylinder head, and it has a higher compression ratio. Now, this being a late model, it's compatible with unleaded fuel, so it is a little bit down on power compared to the Mark 1 MG, which is behind me. So this is about 68 horsepower, there or thereabouts, which is fine still, because these weigh 700 and something kilos. So it still feels quick enough, but the main thing is the noise. Because MGs from factory have a slightly raspy exhaust, which sounds brilliant, but this one has had a Manaflow fitted. So it's a lot like the one fitted to Melvin, but of course Melvin to K-Series, this is an A-Series, and the A-Series engine is one of the best sounding small engines of all time. Absolutely convinced of it. So this is a bit different. It sounds brilliant when I get a second. It sounds fantastic. That's only at 2,500 revs. But yeah, it sounds brilliant. So that's one difference that I'm interested to feel. Also, this engine's just recently been tuned. So yeah, it feels a lot more sprightly than Melody, despite an on-paper difference of only 5 brake horsepower. Then there's the suspension, because this car has had the suspension regassed. So Hydrogas has 2 different halves of the system. It has the fluid half that controls the ride height and the damping, and it has the gas half, which controls the springing. And you can replenish the fluid side of the system, absolutely fine. But the gas side of the system you can't do from home. So if you've got a Metro or any Hydrogas sprung car and the ride is rock solid, it's because all the gas has gone. But there are companies that specialise in doing it, and this car has had its Hydrogas renewed, and so across the trip it'll be quite interesting to see how different it feels to Melody. And I can already notice the ride quality is quite good. It's much better than Melody. It's still a bit bouncy, a little bit bobbly in places, but that's kind of endearing. It feels like a Metro, it feels like a little tiny car that's really eager. Whereas Melody does just feel really crashy. But yeah, this engine, sounds ace. Big fan of it. So, you see, there are still bits like that where it kind of jiggles over bumps, but can't complain really. It's a lot better than Melody. So the more I find out, the more I'll say, but for now, we should just keep driving. So we're on a very, very blowy road now just because of the horizon. So if there's a bit of wind noise coming from the sunroof, then I apologise, but it's the best we can do. So, a few thoughts on the ride quality. The ride is definitely a lot better, but it also feels so much more floaty than Melody. I can't directly compare to Melody because the suspension is set up slightly differently, and all the suspension is different essentially on a K-Series car. But compared to Melody, Melody feels much more planted than this. This feels floatier. Not less control, because you can still control the steering perfectly well, but the whole car floats so much more, and it is slightly unnerving at times, but it does still seem lovely and communicative. There's just loads of body roll as well now, so yeah, all these things do add together. The better ride quality and that kind of slight magic carpetiness does have its downsides. But yeah, this is a much more pleasant car to drive about the place than Melody is, just because it's nowhere near as harsh. And the engine, it's still slow. Melody's not been tuned. I don't know when she may have been last tuned, certainly not in my ownership. This car has just been tuned recently. It still feels slow. It's much more willing than Melody's engine, and that exhaust note sounds immaculate. But yeah, it's still not perfect. In fact, let's just... Yeah, sounds ace that. I love it to bits. In fact, we'll come to a roundabout in a minute, so hopefully there is some traffic, and hopefully I'll be able to do I was going to say launch, not a launch, it's an old car, we treat these cars delicately, but a getaway in first gear so you can hear the A-Series gearbox whine, because that's an iconic noise in Great Britain. So yeah, hopefully when we get to this roundabout, we'll have to be stationary. It does sound good. It wasn't as quick as maybe I'd quite like, because the automatic's in front and that can barely move because auto. But to be fair to it, that auto box is from the 1960s. It's from the BMC era when it was fitted to Minis. And in 1965, for a small car to have an automatic gearbox was a big deal, and especially one with a 4-speed automatic. So with all the problems that these gearboxes in some cars give, and also the age of the engine, it's a gearbox from the 1960s in a car from 1988, but it's still pretty decent for the era. And yeah, I'm enjoying this a lot. I'm enjoying mainly the noise, because it sounds incredible. Oh, it's so grumbly. Yeah, it's ace. And yeah, on these roads like this, it's just floating very, very nicely. But yeah, see when we're a bit closer. Well, we're here. We've got through security, and now we're just trying to find the hall. I don't know where we're going. I am just following the VP. But this is the thing about going to the NEC, is that you know what gate you're at, but it's such a huge place that you just don't know where you're going. And I've been here God knows how many times now in cars, and I still don't know. I recognise it, but I don't know where to go. We're together, yeah. It sounds great. Well, we went to the wrong door. Pretty standard NEC fare. I mean, I don't understand how you would organise something like this, but it's never, it's never, nobody knows where they're going, ever. But yeah, I don't know how you'd orchestrate it so everyone knows, because it is just such a big site, but here we are. So yeah, everyone's getting in the way of everyone, everyone's queuing for everything. We've got vans and trucks everywhere, and we've got 3 little metros. This one of which is getting quite hot now, so yay. And now we're going to gear. You can tell the oil's getting hot, can't you? Sounds brilliant. Totally over that. Stewards as usual. What's the always on? Oh yeah. So there we go. Totally overzealous stewards as usual, going power hungry because I've got something important to do for once, but yeah, here we are. So we'll get set up and then I'll show you a little bit more before the full proper show videos that I'll do midweek, so yay. So here we are on the Metro Owners Club stand. We made it in one piece. However, that car didn't.
I'll get some more microphones.
I can't pop the bonnet now because I've not got the keys for it, but just as we came in through that door, came up here, and then he went out and put it into reverse to go backwards, and as he was sat stationary, a metal coolant pipe burst. Steam everywhere, coolant all over the floor. It's all now been cleaned up, but might be able to see some marks maybe there. Yeah, it blew its guts all over the floor. So the way the coolant system on a Metro is works, so you also got the engine in the middle there, the thermostat housing is there, obviously the radiator's at the front, the coolant bottle's there, and at the bottom, down the side of the engine, you've got a hose, and you've got a hose connected to the radiator. It's a radiator bottom hose, and down there, and then turning, so it's like a J shape, is a mild steel coolant pipe. They all rot, and this one has done its thing. Fortunately, the Metro Owners Club reproduces them, so that's not an issue. We have one for it, but yeah, so it was very nearly absolutely perfect, but yeah, at the last second, this decided to blow its guts all over the floor. Thank God it happened in the NEC. So yeah, here we are. Technically, the Metro Owners Club stand ends there. It's the 40th anniversary of the Metro Vanden Plas this year, from 1982. And so the Metro Owners Club stand has 4 cars, and they're all VPs. And this, technically, is the MG front-wheel drive register. Realistically, we're all just going to be in one place because same thing, but it's also 40 years this year of the MG Metro, so we've decided to have 4 VPs and 4 MGs. So let's give a little tour through of what we've got. So we're over here with no rear suspension. That didn't happen at the show, that's just been like that. Is a Mark 1 MG Metro Turbo. So these came out in October 1982, of course they're turbocharged, 93 brake horsepower, and yeah, the decals are just ace, and it's got these monoblock alloy wheels. This is actually, I believe, or I'm told, is a development car. It's not an actual production MG Turbo, and as a result it still has the black interior that I mentioned before. By the time the Turbo's launched, they switched to grey interior, so this is a very, very, very rare car, I'm led to believe. And then next to it we've got the one that I came in, complete with Steelies. And then here we have an Mark II MG Turbo. So it's just like the 1300 here, but turbo. And you do get a few things with the turbo, so you get alloy wheels, which are very cool. But apart from that, the badging is all relatively the same. Again, turbo there as opposed to 1300 here. But there isn't that much to really separate them overall, unless you start looking closely and you have 2 side by side. So you've also got the body kit, which includes a front splitter, arches, another turbo badge. But yeah, so there you go, you've got a pair. Oh, also the bonnet vents, you get extra bonnet vents in the centre in a turbo. But yeah, so there we are with Mark 1 Metro Turbo, Mark 1 Metro 1300, and Mark 2 Turbo and a Mark 2 1300. So yeah, very cool. So these are the front wheel drive ones, and then technically on the Metro Owners Club stand we have a Mark 1 Metro Vanden Plas on a Y-Reg, so that's very early. Or quite early actually. I think they might have come out on X's, I'm not 100% sure, but you get Vanden Plas badges everywhere, you get little chrome trim rings, you get chrome door handles, and you get wood, brownness and proper head restraints, and it's in opaline green, which is just a brilliant, brilliant colour. So there's that one, and then we have two Mark II VPs that are virtually identical. Obviously, this one is the one that that Ian came in this morning, and that is my friend Jamie's. The difference between these two is that they both have leather, but this one, I'm going to let you into a cheeky secret here. This one's leather isn't original. This one's leather is from a Metro GS, which is slightly like, it's a car that replaced the VP. And this one has a slightly different pattern in it. A slightly different colour actually, and is proper VP. But the difference is that this one has a manual gearbox and so has the full 72 horsepower of an MG, and this one's an auto, so it just has a measly 63. So yeah, they're near enough identical though. And then finally we have my friend Steve's lovely Mark I VP, and this VP has had a hell of a journey because this one's been virtually all over the world. This car's been to Africa in the time Steve's owned it, and yeah, it shows. He's had the engine rebuilt in it. He loves this car. It's had so much stuff done to it. You notice it's got pepper pots from an MG on it with little VP things in it. I don't know whether you could have actually optioned them. I don't think you could, but you know, there's a chance. And yes, Vanden Plas. So it's just really kind of trim at this stage. It's still got wind-up windows and stuff. But you do get all the nice stuff like a radio cassette. That's not the original. Cigarette lighter, rev counter. And yeah, this engine's been rebuilt. So it is now quite fast. But yeah, so there you go. That is the MG front-wheel drive register and the Metro Owners Club. All kind of as one, but technically two. There's no point in taking around the show here because, well, I'll do that in the separate videos. I'll do that properly as well. This is just a very quick look at us setting up. So yeah, we're still on settle day. Everyone's still running about everywhere. There are no banners up, you'll notice. I'll show you them very quickly. So I might as well show you. These are yet to go up on the wall, but they are 40 years of the Metro Vanden Plas and 40 years of the MG Metro. So yeah, MG front wheel drive and Metro. But for this one, that will do very nicely. Yeah, as I said, proper show videos will come soon, but I thought I'd give you all a little kind of insight into how the setup of these shows go. Because once you're kind of in the club, I don't mean that in an elitist sense, just once you hang around with these kind of people for long enough, you end up being roped into stupid crap like bringing someone else's car to a show, but it's all fun and games. So there you go. I would say come and see us at the weekend, but this will upload a week after the show is finished. So on that note, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please do click like and subscribe to TwinCam as well. And for everyone to my wonderful Patreon supporters, and as I'm now starting restoring Melvin, I could maybe do with a bit of help there. So if you'd like to support me via Patreon, then that would be absolutely wonderful. And I'll have more videos coming along soon.